Tonight, we continue our ongoing coverage of Arizona's private school voucher program known as ESAs. A new report shows unspent ESA money is piling up in bank accounts of ESA families. Here's why. When a family doesn't use their ESA money in the school year, the cash rolls over to the next year. And even after the student graduates, ESA funds can still be used for their college, including private universities. Today, the total number of dollars left unspent in ESA accounts in our state is hitting $360 million. That's according to the Grand Canyon Institute. And that's adding fuel to the opposition of ESAs heading into the next election.
Republicans vigorously defend the program while Democrats argue ESAs are hurting public schools and the state budget. Right now, Joe Dana verifies the most common ESA talking point you're likely to hear in the coming weeks.
The one talking point you're likely to hear is that the typical ESA student costs the state less than the typical public school student. To verify this claim, we're using state budget data, the Department of Education's latest ESA enrollment numbers, and a Grand Canyon Institute study. Just who is making this claim? Many Republican politicians. Most recently, it was school's superintendent Tom Horn. Here's what he said.
We're constantly accused that ESAs are causing the deficit in the budget. Those calculations are incorrect because they're not accounting for the fact that we may give $7,400 to a family for an ESA, but if they were in the public school, they'd cost the state $13,000.
This is what's known as a false equivalency, like comparing apples to oranges. To break it down, the $7,400 average Horn cites for ESAs does not take into account special needs ESAs, which cost dramatically more. Horn acknowledged this fact earlier this year.
Obviously, the special needs kids cost more. The average is $9,800.
The latest report shows that average is now at $9,900. Still less than the $13,000 figure Horn uses to compare to public school funding. But there's another detail Horn and others do not mention. The $13,000 they use to describe for average public school students includes all funding sources, federal, local bonds, and things like COVID support, construction of new schools, and school bus repairs. These are other details many politicians don't tell you about. Since the legislature passed the ESA expansion 2 years ago, most new ESAs are for kids that were already in private schools, not public schools. That's a brand new expense to the state. As the nonpartisan accountants at the state legislature have explained, most new ESAs equal a net impact to the state budget. In other words, new or additional expenses. The Grand Canyon Institute puts that net cost to the state budget at about $430 million this next school year. Joe Dana, 12 News.